Sponsored by Audible. Go to audible.com/vector or text vector to 500 500 to start your 30-day trial. 300 videos, over 140,000 subscribers, over 25 million views. You folks are absolutely incredible, and I can't thank you all enough for your ongoing support and for being a part of this ongoing conversation. Sincerely, thank you. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is iPhone 11 versus Pixel 4. I've been using the regular-sized iPhone 11 Pro in midnight green for a little over a month now. I've got a regular-sized Pixel 4 in orange on order as of today. Let me know what kinds of videos you want to see from me. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you my scorching hot take, and by that I mean analysis, of how the two of them compare, not just in terms of specs, but philosophy. The iPhone 11 has a notch, just like the iPhone X style phones have had for the last few years now. Apple wants to optimize for screen space, so they're taking those extra corners if they can get them. Pixel has a forehead, like some Pixels have had before, except for the one with last year's random notch. They're optimized for clean lines and consistency between devices now. Apple stuck with glossy glass on the 11 proper, but textured now on the 11 Pro. It has a big honking bump with 2 cameras on the 11, 3 on the Pro, color matched to the glass color, but with gloss and texture inverted. The result is what it usually is, a phone that's almost a singular object. Google's gone from the two-tone to single-tone and textured, and it also has a big honking bump with 2 cameras, color matched to the cameras, which means black. The result is almost an iPhone-style singular object, but still with a playfully colored power button. iPhone displays have been consistently great for years, and the iPhone 11 LCD and the iPhone 11 Pro OLED are no exceptions. They use Samsung's process, Apple's spec, calibration, and management, and they're some of the absolute best in the business. They've also had True Tone ambient color temperature matching for a while now. Basically, Apple wants consistency across the board. All colors, all just handled. Pixel displays have faced more challenges. The Pixel 2 XL display was bad. Pixel 3 was much better. Pixel 4 is supposed to be excellent. Rumor has it they're also using Samsung's process now, but with their own color management. So it's quite possible they're right up there as well. And they've just added ambient EQ, which also matches color temperature. So Google's now matching Apple in the color matching. But the Pixel displays now go up to 90 Hz with dynamic refresh rates, which isn't the 120 Hz of the iPad Pro line's ProMotion, but better than the still 60 Hz of the iPhone 11's non-ProMotion. The iPhone 11 has the Apple A13 Bionic system on a chip, which I'm gonna just come out and say is the best mobile silicon on the market today. And inserting the word mobile in there is becoming less and less necessary over time. Also, 4 GB of RAM. If benchmarks are your thing, it scores 1329 for single core and 3411 for multi-core on Geekbench 5. Apple believes in fully integrated features from chip to interface, so custom silicon is just an investment that keeps paying off for them. Combined with increased display efficiency and bigger batteries, 3110 for the iPhone 11, 3046 for the iPhone 11 Pro, and 3969 for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it gives all of this year's iPhones real all-day battery life. You can also get up to 512 GB of storage if you like to hoard all the bits. The Pixel 4 uses Qualcomm's Snapdragon 855, not the 855 Plus. After getting kicked in the 64-bit butt by the A7, Qualcomm has really started pushing again. And while I don't think they're an Apple Silicon League yet, they're finally catching up. Also, 6 GB of RAM, which is way more than the previous 4 GB and should make a big difference with Android. I haven't seen any scores for the Pixel 4 yet, but the 855 on the OnePlus 7 Pro tops out at 723 single and 2655 multi-core on Geekbench 5. So even if Google works some magic, it's fair to say they're not getting close. And they have a history of performance degradation over time, though fingers crossed that's fixed now. To make up for the lack of custom SoC, Google's working on custom coprocessors. More on that in a minute, but still it necessitates a modular play. The Pixel 4 has a 2800 battery and the Pixel 4 XL 3700, which is kind of worrisome given Pixels have never exactly been known for their battery life to begin with. In other words, if they last, they're going to have to prove it. Also, they top out at 128 GB of storage. And though the Pixel could be as integrated as the iPhone, until very recently Google enforced a least favored nation status on it, though that apparently is changing for the better. By now, the iPhone's A-series Secure Enclave and Face ID facial geometry scanner are well known. Face ID debuted on the iPhone X and has been made faster with subsequent hardware and software updates, including on the iPhone 11. You can't, however, use it without having to swipe up on the lock screen to open. The Pixel has Google's Titan security chip and a new facial geometry scanner augmented by a motion sense radar chip. And yes, there was a huge controversy surrounding how exactly Google obtained at least some of the data for the face scans, so factor that in as you will. Much like Apple's new U1 spatial positioning chip on the iPhone 11, Google hasn't said much if anything about what the motion sense killer feature will be. Apple is rumored to be shipping locator tags at some point. Until then, both are mainly tech demos. For now, motion sense does some gesture stuff. It lets you play Tickle Me Pikachu, and it will preload the camera for face unlock, and you can use it without having to swipe up on the lock screen to open. In fact, you have to change a setting if you want the lock screen to linger, which makes the experience perceptibly faster. Apple went from a single wide angle or dual wide angle and telephoto to dual 12 megapixel f1.8 wide angle and 12 megapixel f2.4 ultra wide angle on the iPhone 11, with a third 12 megapixel f2.0 telephoto on the iPhone 11 Pro. On the front, Apple still has a single selfie camera, but it's 12 megapixel now with a 70-degree field of view. Basically, the iPhone 11 has good camera hardware and good compute. Pixel went from a single wide angle to a dual 12 megapixel f1.7 wide angle and 16 megapixel f2.4 telephoto on the Pixel 4. You can't computationally simulate ultra-wide, alas, since you're literally not capturing the extra data that ultra-wide would capture. On the front, Google went down from 2 to 1 selfie cameras, but it's now 8 megapixel with a 90-degree field of view. Basically, the Pixel 4 has ho-hum camera hardware, but excellent compute. Apple has gotten better at fusion and semantics, Google at virtual lens modeling and depth data. Google's also using a Pixel neural core, which finally gives them the processing power necessary to do live previews of all the computational photography modes, something the iPhone has done since 2016. But the Pixel is just crushing it on computational super zoom, which is an area Apple hasn't really focused on yet. Both have computational high dynamic range, night mode, and astrophotography. Which you like better will come down more to subjective factors, namely whether you prefer Apple or Google's color science and artistic choices. Apple has traditionally gone for a natural look and feel. That's led to warmer tones. Google feels like they want scientific accuracy, which has led to slightly cooler tones. Again, it's a matter of personal preference at this point. Video is a different story. The iPhone still does 4K 60 frames per second, but now with extended dynamic range, even on the front-facing camera. The Pixel 4 still tops out at 4K 30 frames per second. There's a lot more on both cameras, of course. I've just posted a huge iPhone 11 camera review, and my colleagues at Android Central are no doubt working on the same for the Pixel 4. My link is in the description, and I'll share theirs just as soon as it's live. The iPhone 11 includes lightning earbuds in the box, but no 3.5mm adapter. The regular version starts at $699, the Pro at $999, and the Pro Max at $1099, and it's available pretty much everywhere. The Pixel 4 has no earphones or adapter in the box. The regular version starts at $799, and the XL at $899, and it's got better US carrier availability this time, but due to regulatory issues, won't be available in India when it goes on sale elsewhere on October 24th. In the meantime, you can check out Dogfight on Audible and hear all about how the Google versus Apple rivalry all began. Audible has the world's largest selection of audiobooks and audio entertainment, including Audible originals, and you should really check out Dogfight. No spoilers, but imagine you're CEO of Google and on Apple's board of directors, and you don't tell Steve Jobs, who's getting ready to launch the iPhone, that you're secretly working on Android, and you don't tell the Android team you've secretly given Apple Gmail, Maps, and YouTube. And if you followed more recent news, you now know that that wasn't even half of the dirty dealings going on at the time. You can start listening to it right now, including on iPhone or Pixel, by going to audible.com/vector or texting vector to 500 to get your 30-day Audible trial. Choose one audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. That's AUDIBLE, audible.com/vector, or text vector to 500 and start listening today. Thanks Audible, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. There's a lot more to cover, including assistance. Google's does way more, but they also collect way more of your data to do it. Also, media services, and all the new subscriptions for just about everything coming our way. End of the day, if you prefer iOS, you're going iPhone. And if you prefer Android, well, if you're most people, you're probably going Samsung or Huawei. But if you're a nerd in this hemisphere, you might really prefer the Pixel. Or both. So this is where I hand it off to you. Hit like if you do, subscribe if you haven't already, computational that bell gizmo so YouTube will actually tell you when the next show goes live, and then hit up the comments and let me know. iPhone 11, Pixel 4, both, neither, and most importantly, why? Thanks for watching and see you next video.